Students, we are going to the next section, that is recursion. Recursion is a programming technique in which a function calls itself. See, it's a programming technique in which a function calls itself. It may be directly or indirectly. For example, direct recursion. Function 1 called the one itself. Function is calling it again and again. This is called a direct recursion. Then next is indirect recursion. Function 1 invoked 2, 2 invoked 1. Indirectly, the function calls by itself. Then next is about the structure of recursion. Recursive function consists of two parts. They are base condition. It must contain a base condition or the terminating condition, and second is the recursive case or the recursive function statement. For example, or you can say that a recursive function can be defined as a function that calls itself until a base condition is true and execution stops when the condition becomes false. We can go through an example. That is, how we want to calculate the power of x, that is x raised to n we want to calculate. And here this program contains two parts. First is the base case or the terminating condition. Second is the recursive case. This is the recursive case. Please listen. If you want to calculate x raised to n or x raised to 4, we can write it as x into x raised to 3 or x into x raised to 2, like that. That is, in this case, x into power of x comma n minus 1. We are giving the value of x as 2 and n as 3. We can go through this example. Each time control comes here to the else part. When you are working with the recursive program, each time a recursive call will come or a definition call will come, it will not start the execution. The statement will push it onto the stack. Now you want to know what is a stack. Stack is a data structure in which elements are stored in a LIFO structure. Have you heard about that? LIFO structure means last in, first out manner. For example, we have a collection of books. See, this is the first one, there is the second one, third one, and fourth one. This is called a last in, first out manner. Which one you can take out first? The topmost one. Is it clear? Like that, when you are working with the recursive function, first x raised to x as n as 5. If you are giving the value of n as 5, so x into power of x comma n minus 4. That is n minus 5. That means n is 5. 5 minus 1, it is 4. Each recursive call will push it onto the stack. The value, that means then when n becomes 0, that is the terminating condition, thus values are popped out from the stack, from the top of the stack. That is, the last value will pop out first, then the second call, and it starts the execution. Each time memory will be allotted for the local variables with the different sets of values. The same variable name with the different values. Then these duplicated values are available to the respective code, and the last value will be printed as the output. Listen, when you are working with a recursive function, it must contain a base condition. When this also known as the terminating condition, when this condition becomes true, the values or the recursive statements that stored inside the stacks are popped out. Popping means we are taken out and execution starts the execution. And each time when the call will come, memory will be allotted for the same variable with the different sets of values. These duplicated values are available to the respective calls. One of the important characteristics of a recursive function is the order of execution is in the reverse order. Reversal in the order of execution is the main characteristic. We can go through different examples and we can clear the concepts. For another example, you want to calculate the factorial of a number. You want to calculate the factorial of a number. You know, if you want to calculate 5 factorial, we can write it as 5 into 4 factorial. Also, we can write it as 5 into 4 into 3 factorial. Or we can write it as 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 factorial, like that. Same way, 5 into factorial of 4. We are calling the same function. This is called a recursion. This is a program using recursion. Find the factorial of a number using recursion. Now here I have given the terminating condition or the base condition as n is 0 or n is 1. You know this factorial of 0 and factorial of 1 is 1 itself. Then you can calculate the factorial using recursion and you can input a number from the user. For example 5. Factor 5 will come and each time control comes to the else part and push it onto the stack. Then when it reaches the terminating condition, popped out from the stack and starts the execution, the last value will be printed as the result. Then for conditions for implementing recursion, there must be a terminating condition or the base condition we want to solve with recursion. Then that is an if condition must be there. The third point is reversal in the order of execution. Reversal in the order of execution. Then each time a recursive call is made, memory will be allocated for local variables in the recursive routine. The duplicated values are available to the respective call when it is popped off from the stack. See the rules you have to remember. Then the next is we can track the recursive function. You can go through the working of the recursive program. See here again I am giving the same example for factorial of a number. Factorial has been called with n and the base condition is given. The else part I have calculated the factorial. Also for knowing the working of recursion I have given the intermediate results too. See we can see the output. I am going to calculate function called factorial of 5. We can see the output. See factorial has been called with first n is 5, n is 4, 3, 2, 1. When it becomes 1, that is the terminating condition. At that time popped out from the stack. That is from the top. Last came 2. So factorial 2 will be calculated. That result will be available for the next call. Then 3 will be popped out. Then 4, the last 5. The last value will be printed as the output. Then the next is, that is Python uses a concept called stack. It is a data structure. How data are stored internally inside the memory. Remember the topic, we can learn it the next coming chapters. Remember it is a last in first out manner, LIFO. Then another example, we want to print the Fibonacci number, 6th Fibonacci number. For example, we can print the Fibonacci number also using recursion. You know what's a Fibonacci number? First number is 0, second number is 1. A third is the sum of first and the next two, that is second and first. You know the concept well. See the base condition. This is the first term, 0. Second term is 1. Then in the else part I have given fib of n minus 1 plus fib of n minus 2. Fib is the name of the function. It's a recursive call. And given n minus 1 and n minus 2. You know the reason well. There's a logic behind that. The sum of the third digit is on, or third number is the sum of the second and the first. That concept, and we can do it. Then the next is, it's about we want to print the Fibonacci series. First digit is 0, second is 1, then the third is the sum of first plus second and so on. In a looping, you can call the function and you can print it. In a looping, you can call the function, invoke it, and you can print the values 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Here I have given the value of n as 6. We can solve programs using both recursive and iterative method. You know the concept of looping. Using for loop and while loop, we can solve these programs. We have to compare what is the difference between these two. See, if you are working with iteration, it uses the same memory for the local variables and using the same memory for the variables, and we are changing the values and repeat the same unit code. But in recursion, it allocates fresh memory for each recursive code. The same local variable will get different memory. Recursion involves an additional cost in terms of the space used in RAM. Then recursive function runs slower than iterative method. Then what are the advantages of recursion? It is more readable and makes a solution look shorter than iterative method. That is, the number of lines of code is very less. Then when you are comparing with the nested iterations, you know what is nested iteration? One loop inside another. You are comparing with the nested iteration, easier. Recursion is more easier. Then mainly we are using recursive function in the case of a tree structure. Tree is another data structure. That means we want to store data in a hierarchical manner. For example, when we are considering our school, we have manager, principal, vice principal and coordinators and different departments. That means the tree structure, mainly we are using this recursive functions. I am moving to the next topic, that is binary search. You know what is searching? That means in a list we are searching a particular item is existing or not. And we all are familiar with the linear search algorithm or the technique. In a linear search, we are searching a particular element in the given list. We are comparing with each element of the list, the given item with each element, and we are checking whether it is existing inside the list or not. We are studying another technique that is called binary search. In binary search algorithm used only for sorted list. Binary search algorithm we can implement for a sorted list. The algorithm is the given item is compared with the mid value of the given list. If they are equal, you can return the index of the mid element. Otherwise, you will have to check whether the given item is greater than the mid value or the item is less than the mid value. If the item is greater than the mid value, we can say that the item is in the right hand side of the mid. Clear? Otherwise, we can say that if it is less than the mid value, we can say that it is in the left hand side of the mid value. And you will have to repeat the same procedure and we can find the position of the given item. If you are repeating this procedure, the beginning value or the starting value must be less than or equal to the last. For example, I have defined a list 10, 20, 40, 60, 80 and 90. You can see that it is a sorted list. Sorted list that is in ascending order. And I have given the indexing also. 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. up to 5. I want to search a particular item that is 80. We can apply the algorithm or the procedure. We can take start index 0 and end index as 5. Calculate the mid. Mid we can calculate it as start plus n by 2. 0 plus 5 by 2, it is 2. Then what is LST of mid? LST of mid is 40. We are comparing 40 with 80. Are they equal? No. So we will have to check the given item is in greater than the mid value or less than the mid value. It is clear? The item is greater than the mid value. So we can avoid the left hand side of the mid. You can go through the right hand side, you will have to apply the same procedure. That is, you will have to take the right side and beginning as, again you will have to take the beginning as mid plus 1, end as 5 itself. Repeat the same procedure. Start as mid plus 1, that is 3, end as 5. Will compare 80, the mid value is 80, 80 equal to 80. So you can return the index of the mid value, item found at this position or given index. And another one, if you want to, in the left hand side of the middle element, the same recursive call you can do. Suppose the item you want to search is 10. That is 10 is in the left hand side, and in that case you will have to take end as mid minus 1. Clear? Let's start as 8, start as 0 itself because of the left hand side, and the end value as mid minus 1, and repeat the procedure. See, start the 0, end mid minus 1, and you can search. If you want to search an item 30, then what will happen? Item is not existing here. See, if you are repeating this procedure, in a particular step you will get the start value becomes greater than the end value. At that time you can stop the looping or the iteration, you can stop it, and you can say that item was not found, not in the given list. Clear? Always the start value must be less than or equal to the end value. Then the program for binary search. Binary search, the list and the item. I have passed two parameters, the list and the item you want to search. Calculate the mid, then low as 0, that is start as 0. See, high is length of the list minus 1, you know the index of the last element, you will get it. And using a while loop you can compare with the mid element. The item is given item is greater than the mid value or less than the mid value, you can repeat this. See, I have inputted a list, printed it directly, and search a particular item and element found at this particular position. Then the same program, that is without recursion. I am going to solve the same program using recursion. See, you can return the mid, leave. The item is greater than the mid value. You can take start as mid plus 1, and you can call the recursive call, you can give the search of. Repeat the same procedure. Else, if it is in the left hand side, end becomes mid minus 1 and recursive code. Program for binary search using recursion. I have given a list in ascending order, item to base search, it found at this index. Have entered input a list, enter the item to base search, it found at index 1. That's about binary search. We are moving to the third chapter, that is Python libraries. A module is a file which contains related functions, related collection of functions. A module in Python is a file that contains a collection of Python related functions. Then what is a package? A package is a collection of modules. Then what is a library? A library is a collection of various packages. You have to remember these three terms. This is the basic building block of a Python program or components of a Python program. Consists of functions, modules, libraries or packages. Module is a function is a set of related statements. A collection of related functions are known as modules. Collection of modules are known as packages or libraries. Then there are components of a Python program, you know. The next is What's the advantages of using modules? Once you define a module, that you can use it anywhere. Then next is about the clarity. Then the grouping of code, related functions, you can write it together and keep it as a module. Then easy to understand. There are two types of modules in Python. First one, built-in modules and user-defined modules. Then if you want to work with a module in your program, you will have to import it. Use the keyword import. There are three different ways for importing modules in our program. First one, import statement. Second one is from statement. Third is from star. Then want to import a module. Please listen, the importing a module. Use import keyword. We can use any of its functions. Then first one is import. How can we use import keyword? The syntax is import, then the file name. Math is a built-in module that is inside the Python program, that is import math. If you want to work with more than one module, you can write import first module, comma, second module, comma, third one, and so on. For example, import math, comma, OS. Then how can we use from? From math, import function name. From math module, only import sqrt function. Then next is from star. Star means all. From file name. From math module, import star. All the functions inside the math module. If you want to work with a particular one called math library dot sqrt4. So using dot notation, you can invoke the functions. Then simply we can say that for using a module, use import space module name. Working with functions inside a module, module name dot function name. Math, random and statistics, etc. are built-in modules in Python. First we can go through the math module. Ceil of x, the largest, return the smallest integer that is greater than or equal to x. Floor returns the largest integer less than or equal to x. We can go through the program. See this? I call the function math.ceil, math.floor, and given the value 5.26, the output is 6 and the floor value is 5. Then next you know well, pow function, that is x raised to y. It will be printed. Then next sqrt can calculate the area of a triangle using the three sides, and you can calculate the area. Sqrt function, math.sqrt. Then facts, given absolute value. Then logarithm value, log values. Log 10 of 1 is 0. Log 10 of 5. Log 10 of 100. Then also the trigonometric function sine, cos, tan returns the cosine, tangent and sine values in radians. For example, sine of 90, sine of 0, 0 and cos 0 is 1. Then about the statistics module. First one, mean. The average value of the sequence of values that we have passed. For example, statistics, marks, we are given as a list. Then statistics.mean. You will get it, the result. Then next is the median, the middle value. The middle value that will sort the given list and find the median. Sort the list and given the median. Then mode, most often repeated value. For example, then Next is how can we use from clause, from keyword, from statistics, import mean. Only one function, mean only. We have imported. In that case, there is no need of dot notation. Directly you can call mean of x. Then next is about the random module. First function rand range, beginning value, end value, and the step you can give. Step is optional value. To generate a random number within a range specified in its arguments. Rand range function take 3 arguments. That is the beginning value, beginning number included, last number that will be excluded from the general. Step is skip the numbers in a range while selecting. X comma y. Include x, not y, y minus 1. Clear? X comma y minus 1. For example, import random. We have imported the random module. Random dot, rand range of 5 comma 20. 5 is included, but 20 will not be included. 5 to 19. Any random number. Here it will be given the output as 9. Another one. Rand range of n. Only one parameter. From 0 to n minus 1. Given 0 to n minus 1. Then generates a random integer between x and y. Then rand range 3 and 9 skip by 2. Then random function without any argument will generate a random number between 0 and 1, including 0 but excluding 1. For example, rand int, it generates an integer, random integer between a and b, including rand int including both a and b. For example, including both a and b, rand int. Then I have given a list of values, colors, and import random. Rand int of 0 to 4, 0 comma 4, color of n. N randomly it will access, you will get the output as red. Then next is about the user defined modules. The programmer or we can define our own modules also using extension dot modules dot py, using the extension dot py. The file extension is dot py. For example, it's a program for a calculator. Define 4 different functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. I have saved this one as a module, that is calc.py. In another program, I have imported this calc, import calc, and invoke the functions add of, subtract of a comma b, multiply and. Then if you are printing it, then you will get. Then another example, created a module, find.py. And another program, imported find and call the function sqrnq. Next topic is module aliasing. Aliasing means we can give another name to a module when you are importing it. For example, import file name. As alias name you can give. As is the keyword using. For example, import math as em. Whenever we want to work with the math library, you can write mdor. We can give another name for math as m.sqrt of 4. Then we can give alias to the members too. Functions. We can give another name to the functions also. Import math as m, comma, sum as add, or anything. You can give the function name as another name. For example, import test as t. Test is a module and we have changed its name as another name as t. And a function inside the test module is add, and we are changing its name as sum. Add as sum. Test.py is a module and is referred to as t, and add is a function that is referred to as sum. Then next is about the library or the packages. You know, a package is a collection of modules, collection of related modules. We can create a package of our own and you can import it. The main difference between module and a package is package contains an additional file that is called _init_.py file. It's an additional file called that is _init._.py file. The next is about how to create and import a package in a Python program. First, you will have to create a directory. Create a directory. For example, we can create a directory named geometry. You can create two modules, area.py and volume.py. Also, you will have to create a file _init_.py inside the directory. Why we are using this _init_.py file? It treats this directory as a containing package. Directory as a containing package. For example, created an area module, created a volume module. I've served these two inside that particular directory, geometry directory. Also, I have created an init.py file. See, from area module, import rectangle _area, that is the function name. And also from volume module, import cube _volume. Then in what is init.py file, that is it's containing packages or initialize the Python package. We are using it for init means initializing the Python packages. Then after that you can create init module also. In another programs you can import, like module how you have imported, like you can import the packages also using import geometry. Also you can from close also you can use, from star also we can use. Then how it locates the modules? First it will search in the current directory. When you are importing a particular package, it will search in the current directory. If it is not existing in the current directory, it will search for the shell path. That means directory in the shell variable Python path. Then if it is not there, it will check the installation location of the Python. Also checks the installation location of the Python. Pip is a package management system. Pip is a package management system. It is used to, Pip is used to install and manage the software packages written in Python. Used to install and manage the softwares or the packages inside written in Python. If you want to know the pip version, you can check pip version run. Pip, you can use pip slash, that means you can use hyphen then version at the DOS prompt. See this, you will get the pip version of your system. Then next is about the Python standard library. We are going to study about the date and time module. Datetime, import datetime library. The datetime library uses the format YY, EMM, DD format. Then we are going to study the built-in functions inside the datetime function. Datetime dot today. Then year, month, day. Separately you can access the time also, hour, minute and second. Using example, import datetime. Datetime dot time. Without any argument, if you are giving, you will get 000. Then also we can pass per arguments, hours, minutes and seconds. Through output you can see that 13, 22, 5. Then the time is tdate.hour, tdate.minute, tdate.second. Separately you will get it. Then we are working with date. Date dot today. The current system date you will get it. today is the date 17/5/2020. That is, it uses the format YY, EMM, DD format. Then separately also year, date dot year only. Then date dot month, the corresponding month. Day is the equivalent number 70. Then also another one that is called now function. Now function, you will get both the date and time. Clear? The date time, import the date time library.